guys, it's April, and since it's the end of the shortest month of the year, it is time for my wrap-up. Now, these are a few of the books that I have to talk about today. There are a few more that I have in e-version, so I don't have the physical copy to do like the really cool thing, so as always I'll have an insert. I don't know why I'm explaining this. You guys know how this works. This is going to be my wrap up for the last half of February. If you want to check out the books that I read for the first half of the month, I will link it down below and in the little iCard above my head somewhere. And now we will just get into what I read for the last half of February. So the first book that I want to talk about, and the book that has me running on only 4 hours of sleep right now, is Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia. This is the story of Eliza, who is the creator of the webcomic Monstrous Sea, but she is completely anonymous. No one knows who she is. When, of course, one day, new kid comes into town. She finds out that he is a huge fan of the web series, and she forms a friendship with him. Lots of things happen. Things blow up. Social anxiety, panic attacks, depression, it's all a real thing in this book, and it was one of those reads where I saw problematic things happening. I knew where all of this plot line and storyline was going before it even went there, but it brought back so much of my own life in high school and how I felt in high school and all the things that were going on with me in my life and me being on the internet and these huge fandoms that I was myself involved in, that I was almost in this very surreal place as I was reading it. It's been a long time since I have sat through a book and I have just binged it in the night, not realizing what time it was, not realizing that I was tired, but just going through this. I felt like a teenager again. And so while there are a lot of things within the stories and within these characters that I find to have lots of issues, part of me is really pulled to this world and to Eliza's reality, and I really enjoyed it for that fact. One thing I will say is I don't want to say that I'm a snob, but because of my background and all of the things I'm involved with, and the fact that this comic is supposed to be a very big deal and it's supposed to have millions of followers, I found the art that was supposed to be examples of what was going on in the comics very basic. I wanted more out of them because everyone was making such a big deal about them, but I couldn't find that pull into the comic itself, so I really didn't care about those bits. I thought it was a cool idea that they were pulled into the story, but overall I didn't really care for them and I didn't see why they were such a big deal. But like I said, I did really enjoy this read. The next book I read was Corpse Cold by Brhel and Sullivan. I have a full review over this anthology. It is very much like that old school scary stories to tell in the dark. It has that feel, and of course it's got illustrations to go along with each of these stories, and I probably am more drawn to the illustrations than some of the stories. They are creepy and they're weird and they're just off the wall, as you would figure for this kind of read, but it's the illustrations that I really truly enjoyed in this read. I also finally picked up Tortall, a spy guide by Tamora Pierce and several other authors. This is a collection of papers that George Cooper finds in his study when he has to clean it out, because spoilers, I will not say. It goes through a lot of paperwork that pull in some of the other storylines within the Tortall universe and some of the other characters that you see throughout all of the series. It also sets down how George Cooper set up the whole spy master system. But I think my favorite part of this whole read is that in the back there is a timeline of everything that happens in Tortall. Now, I love the Tortall universe, but I'm very bad at keeping perspective of when things happen. So having this and seeing that timeline laid out gives me more of a feel for what is actually going on and the development of characters. Because a lot of times, because when I read the story and I reach the end of it, the characters at the end of that series that go into the next series, they haven't grown up. There's no time gap in my brain because it doesn't exist. So sometimes I forget that characters have gotten way older than they were when they originally started appearing in the Tortall universe. This gave me a lot of perspective on that, and plus this is just very pretty. I wasn't a huge fan of some of the font chosen for some of this because it's supposed to simulate letters back and forth and things. But then of course you've got illustrations and other odds and ends. So it was enjoyable outside of reading the papyrus type font. It's fine. I can forgive it for that. It's fine. And then there was Tempest and Slaughter by Tamora Pierce. This is the first book in the Noir series. I have a full review over this. I will link it everywhere because if you are at all invested in the Tortall universe, you need to pick up this book. You can definitely see how Tamora Pierce's writing has evolved over time and how this book is very modern compared to all of the other books she has done. Plus, Noir is one of my favorite characters, and just to see him as a young boy developing into the mage that he will become, that I love so much. Just seeing that journey start out. I can't wait to see how we get from the end of this book to the beginning of the Wild Magic book. What happens? I know things are going to happen. I don't know how necessarily they're gonna happen. Things are gonna go down, and I really, really, really need to know what. I also picked up The Art of Invisibility by Kevin D. Mitnick. This lays out all of the ways in which we put out our information on the internet and how easy it is to find that information. Mitnick is a hacker. He has done jail time for what he has done. And in this book, he lays out several ways in which you can try to become invisible on the internet. There is no foolproof way to actually do that, but he steps you through all the things that you would have to do to separate your real world life from your internet life. This book very much brings to light all of the things that you have on the internet and all of the stuff that is mined about you at all times. It's a little creepy and scary at times too. And I am very interested in all of that kind of stuff. But reading this book, there were times that I started to feel a little weird because I felt like he was teaching me how to become a criminal. How to hide myself from the government, because of a lot of examples that he uses says, if you do not want the government to see this, then do this kind of deal. And to me, it's not so much wanting to hide from the government, though I can understand why some people don't want the government in their business, because obviously I don't want Big Brother either, but it's more of, I don't want hackers to become me. So I was in this really weird place where I am a goody two-shoe. I follow the rules. If I'm not supposed to do something, I don't do something. So yes, I was in a weird place when I was reading this. I felt like I was going to commit something that I shouldn't be doing. And then there was also times where I'm like, this is a lot of work to do stuff. I don't know if I could ever open up Tor browsers, get a whole bunch of Bitcoins off of a gift card with cash that somebody else bought me so that they can't connect me to the store that it was bought from to buy something off of the dark web. I can't. And last but not least, I read Scrappy Little Nobody by Anna Kendrick. I do enjoy a lot of Anna Kendrick's work, so I was interested to see what she had written. And it was fairly interesting, and I feel like fans of Anna Kendrick would really truly enjoy this read, but part of me feels like she hasn't lived enough life yet to make it really interesting. A lot of things for Anna feel like happy accidents. She wasn't this wild child. She didn't do a lot of shenanigans. So I feel like later in her life, if after she's done this for even longer, she might have a lot of interesting things to say. But this right now, while entertaining, didn't feel like it really had a point to it. I don't even know if I'm explaining this right. So those are the books I read for the last half of February. Tell me down below what you have been reading. And remember that Read-o-Rama Round 9 is starting March 3rd, and all of the shenanigans that ensue because of that are going to happen. I will be hosting Twitter sprints on the Twitter account. I will link all the information down below for you. And remember, there's a giveaway. These are important things to remember. And I heart your beautiful faces. Bye.